The Mill Girl by Rosie Goodwin. Narrated by Charlie Sanderson. Part 1, July 1850. Chapter 1. Shh! Don't wake him, lass. Eve Meadows whispered to her daughter Maryann. He's worn out, bless him. Her eyes were full of concern as she looked towards her husband, who was slumped in the bedside chair. And you must be and all. Maryann was quick to reassure her. I'm all right, ma'am. Don't you get fretting over me. Eve Meadows was terrified of how her husband would cope if anything happened to her. John Meadows was a gentleman, and since his wife's illness he had become like a lost soul, which worried her considerably. What would become of the family if she was no longer there to care for them? Her hand dropped to the mound of her stomach, and she heaved a sigh. This last pregnancy had come as a shock, for she had thought she had left her childbearing days behind her. If truth be told, she had not wanted any more children, even though John had been thrilled at the prospect of a new baby. But from the day she had realized she was with child again, she had felt unwell, and also had this awful sense of foreboding. And now with this fever on top, she felt as if someone had lit a fire inside her that was consuming her. However, her biggest fear was not for herself, but for her family. Maryann looked worn out. The lass was just 17, too young to be running a household and scurrying about after invalids. But she was powerless to help her. Why don't you take yourself off to bed now and get some rest? She suggested weakly, as Maryann plumped up her pillows and bent to plant a tender kiss on her mother's burning cheek. I will soon, Mum, but I fancy a bit of fresh air before I turn in, so I might go down and stand in the yard and cool down first. Once outside in the gloomy cobbled courtyard, the girl welcomed the slightly cooler air on her skin, whilst trying to ignore the overpowering stench of the pigsty and the privy. Great fat bluebottles were buzzing about, and she swatted them away tiredly. She was still standing there when Toby Jackson emerged from the door of the cottage across the yard. The pair smiled easily at each other. How are they? He cocked his head towards the house. Violet seems to have turned the corner, but I'm still worried about me, ma'am, Maryann confided.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?